We got ourselves team 1 together with, actually team 2 with Dio side as a, oh, what an aggressive looking Mog. I kind of like it though. We got us iFox, not Bits Rates, Viscerith and Chicago going to be first up over for the team 2 at the ready with Nightness with a big Convoking Spirits in the opener as Chicago does go for a big knockback. Nightness having to throw out a couple of rats at the guy back to back. This is going to be a bunch of Raptors charging in like Lassa to follow, locking him down for just a second. Bar skin for Nightness as trying to mitigate the damage a little bit. Going to be mad lightning elemental damage at the ready for Chicago. Could absolutely blast through Nightness. Big sentence right after, trying to see if they can potentially just pressure him through. Gonna go for mad damage wind strikes, maybe lightning bolts to follow. I don't know if they got them Torrent's invocation for the big lightning bolts or whatnot. Big earth element to join in as well as Nightness looking to continue the pressure, continue the damage versus Chicago. Can they do it? Massive attendance procs for Chicago. Absolutely mad damage. Wait, Chicago taking lots of damage too. It's gonna go walling this off. I think he's trying to play into that big Ascendance proc build, and maybe they could make him work. Big Storm Strike play style. Nightness taking a lot of pressure. Sunder, every single one of those Storm Strikes for Chicago could be the next deadliest Storm Strike ever. They're written down Nightness for the second as the Druid does power shift last second. Storm Strike coming back to back at super low health. Lightning Lassa, I think it's over. Chicago does have him down, and that's going to be down for the count as Nightness does go down. Shadow is going to be up next. I wonder if his build is similar to Chicago. Last time Shadow has played Ascendance, but also with Alley Wolves. So Chicago's playing like an Alley Wolf Ascendance proc build, while Shadows is playing the unused build, trying to see if he can like it. Chicago doesn't get to quite do it. That's going to be the side tournament by Chicago. Shadows is trying to see if he can find an angle versus Chicago, but I don't think he's going to be able to find much of one. And Chicago is already on the other side of the pillar. Unless you got sprint in order to catch up very quickly, there's only so much you can do. And Chicago waiting now for Ascendance to be over. The Shadowist with a wall to give himself a bit of protection so he can stay aggressive versus Chicago. It looks like it has a pretty big payoff. Going to be a maybe double stun totem? No double stun totem. Big Ascendance proc for Chicago. That's going to be a bunch of wind strikes. Trying to see if he can break past the defense of the Shadowist. There's going to be a massive L blast by Shadowist in order to get some big pressure on Chicago. Chicago with a Sunder. Stun totem with Shadowist. Is that a double stun totem? Looks like it's going to be double stun totem. Shadowist super low. That's going to be potentially a big Ascendance proc for Chicago. If they get an Ascendance proc right now, they could be in a great spot. Chicago does still have a wall in case things go rough for them. And Shadowist does not have the same defenses. LA Blast for Chicago. They got himself a static totem. It looks like Shadowist can't really go anywhere. Trying to see if he can break through it. Sunder onto Chicago. Shadowist is super low health. Could potentially be an LA Blast, but Chicago does get a big LA Blast. It's going to be enough to take him down. Leap it over. Oh, and a big lava lash at the end. Does build up a bit of damage in order to see if he can lash him down with Kevin Landers as an arms warrior sticking to his arms roots, trying to see if he can fight through Chicago. Chicago tried to go for a big knockback. Stormbolt to follow. Kevin does spear Chicago down. This is where Chicago is limited what they can do. Sunder to Kevin. Stun totem. Just trying to see if he can survive him. Kevin is going to not be able to avoid the second stun totem. Does go for a parry really early on. This is where Chicago needs to find a way to break away. The arms warrior damage is actually quite high. He's able to crack through the defenses of the Shaman. Got him some plenty of maelstrom. Maybe could go for a lot of healing like Lassa, but it's going to be super delayed. Charged by Kevin. Lots of damage for this arms warrior. Lots of damage built up. Just trying to see if he can keep the pressure rolling. Chicago limited on what they can do. Stormbolt knocking back Kevin. He does get a charge back. Oh my god, that execute! This man got a lot of damage behind him. He doesn't have survivability like some of these other classes, but man, does he got the damage there, man. It's so deadly. Every mortal strike, every overpower, every execute, just super deadly. Viscerith with the shatter onto Kevin. I believe that might have got reflected, as it's going to be a lead by the warrior looking to close the gap with Viscerith instead of just building up a bunch of procs and a bunch of damage with that full mastery of Dragon Rage. Big deep breath, but he doesn't actually separate too far from Kevin. Kevin charges back over to Viscerith, and it's going to be a massive blast. It's a cast. Viscerith is going for a quick beam and out of there. Just beamed him for just a quick second and just hovering away. Gonna be a sleep reflected back into Viscerith. BC, I think maybe playing a no-pet build. Dalaran needs to summon one. Could be a sacrifice warlock. I don't see a lot of those. Viscerith trying to go for a bit of a shadow versus BC as they're going to go for a bit of a fear. Disintegrate by the Evoker. Got himself Living Flames back to back. Trying to see if they can claw down the Infernal for a moment as BC send him a port. Big immolation getting set up. Viscerith looking for a good angle. Does get himself a wall that's going to give him immunity to crowd control. Nullifying Shroud. So immune to CC, immune to stuns. This way he needs to get aggressive with Beastly. This way he needs to do damage. He can't be feared. He doesn't need to be dodging those fears. He can just be out in the open, just blasting him out with those disintegrates. He doesn't need to be going behind the pillar. But he's still playing it very defensively. Beastly is opening up a portal to the Twisting Nether. Big fire breath on him. Viscerith, if he can combine some disintegrates inside of the fire window as well, that would be perfect for him. Just try to see if he can walk away as he's taking a lot of damage. He's to disintegrate. with that fire breath, it's going to add on the extra damage. If there's running the talent combination of Disintegrate with fire, that's going to give more ticks of fire damage. That's just overall more consistent sustained pressure. As Viscera trying to find a better angle, trying to use that Disintegrate behind the wall though, while he's blasting Beastly. Mortal Coil doesn't stop you. Sleepwalker to Beastly, got him some big mastery, huge shatter to follow, Eternity Surge. As long as Beastly doesn't have an interrupt, big blaster onto Beastly. It's gonna be a big Dragon's Rage. We're after trinkets out of it. Big shatter, maybe a big Disintegrate too. Beastly could be in big trouble. Does he go down here? Oh my god, it's absolutely beamed. Another beam to follow Fear. Does he have enough? Oh, Viscera does it. I'm taking him down. My goodness, this man has survived the Destruction Warlock. With Chillpill's gonna be up next. Immediate interrupt onto the sleep as Viscera trying to use mobility in order to get away from Chills. It's gonna root him down. Try to go for that Wraith Walk, but it is gonna get locked down by the power of Earth grabbing you at your heels. Shatter onto Chills. Does Viscera have damage to follow though? Does have a wall and it's gonna be some hover mobility. Got him some healing at the very least. Sleepwalker to Chills is gonna be able to Lichborn out of it. Got him some the big grippy hand, Disintegrate, Fire Breath to follow. Viscera is very limited what they can do unless they got more mobility. That grip is going to be deadly. Maybe they can survive. Does get himself a bit of a heal. Battle Master Streak again and use Eternity Surge right after. Execute to follow. I think Viscera may be in a bit of trouble. Dragon's Rage. Maybe he can get out of it. Hover needs a heal right now. Oh, that Execute waiting for you though. My goodness. Unless he just had a heal like a second, half a second earlier. That maybe would have helped you live the Execute, but it's tough. Chillpills versus Dio side. That Rook is a monster. He actually is really good. Viscera definitely doesn't have a lot of favorable matchups, but I mean, fighting a warrior, pretty good. Fighting a warlock and beating that thing, that's a toughie, man. That shroud together with a wall, giving you just that pure immunity to CC and interrupts. I mean, you're basically unstoppable. You can just do full damage. Maybe the enemy can run away from you. Talking about running away, the side may need to find a way to either run at Chillpills or run away. As the man is just melting behind the pillar, just to the pets and the diseases alone. And man, so far hasn't been able to touch Chillpills whatsoever, and just gonna get executed. Wait a second. Whoa, Chillpills, what is this like dot-based gameplay? He's playing them full disease build. He's gonna be able to get the rogue out in the open. With the Death and Decay, needs to make sure that the stun on rogue so you can get him fully dotted. He's gonna be a blind. I think he got full dots on the guy. And led the dots just gonna rot him with a pet as well. The pet is just gonna do work. Chillpills just trying to avoid you. Vanished by the rogue into a Garrote. Chillpills does have a pet stun in order to lock down the rogue. Cloak of Shadows right after. Does Chill have any way to break out of it? Gonna be maybe human racial? Does he have it? Big Deathmark on Chillpills, so there's nothing he can do. He can AMS it. He needs healing versus the bleeds. But I think he's just done for. If not, Rage just kind of leaves him over by himself. The bleeds just rot him. Yeah, what is that dot gameplay at the end there? My goodness, that was nutty. Look at that. Viscera with 2, Chillpills with 2. I am surprised that the Evoker was able to actually do anything to Warlock, man. Normally, that's a little bit of a... Normally, they kind of dominate the Evoker. And actually, we haven't seen too many Evokers in duels as of recently.